right. And then, what are some issues that you wish to solve by being a doula?
Okay. So going back to my story, I became a doula because I wanted to make sure that other Black women were not blindsided or uneducated in relation to birth. So the biggest thing that I am trying to solve in my role as a doula is making sure, especially as a Black woman, you might hear me say Black women all the time. I love all women, but I'm a Black woman, and the disparities are really against us as Black women. So it's my mission and to ensure basically that Black women are empowered to know their rights and exercise those rights, so that way we can stop this crazy amount of death, especially preventable death. And I think that's where I'll leave it. Yes, I just want to make sure that Black women have access to quality support.
Right. That's good. That's good. And then what are some common issues that you are seeing when dealing with women who are pregnant or pregnant for the first time? Like, is there a trend that you see that maybe they don't know certain information or?
Absolutely. One of the biggest issues that I am seeing constantly, even with my job with WIC, again, with more breastfeeding related things, not even just labor and delivery, but it's lack of informed consent. These providers are not thoroughly explaining the options to women and explaining the benefits and cons of those options, which means that they can't properly make informed decisions. To me, they're denying Black women informed consent because they don't believe we're intelligent enough to go in depth about what's happening, or they just don't care enough to really do so. But studies have actually shown that to this day, there are extensively deep-rooted biases amongst healthcare students in relation to things like I said earlier, our pain levels, how much we care about ourselves or our babies. And when you view people in a light like that, you'll be, less inclined, I guess I'll say, to take the time to explain things, because if you feel like someone doesn't even care about themselves or their baby or their well-being, that's like talking to a brick wall. So why would you take time to say, if you do this can happen and that can happen, but the good thing is this might be able to help with this problem. But you're not going to do all that if you don't think that they care about themselves, because it would be, again, like talking to a brick wall. So a lot of times biases that they have towards especially Black women cause them to not, again, explain things. And when we don't know what we're choosing, that's not informed consent, and that is a suable offense. One of your rights as a birthing person is informed consent, amongst a host of other rights that we see be violated often, and that's why it's important to know your rights, so that if there is a violation, you can have a doula who is knowledgeable about how to handle those violations and things of that nature.
That's good. So I guess we kind of answered this question, because I really wanted to see, and this was personally my question, and were you really seeing mistreatment, like hands-on, from doctors? Like, have you witnessed mistreatment, misinformation, as far as, not giving full information about giving consent? And how can a doula step in, like literally in that moment? You see something going on, it's not right. Like, how do you as a doula say it if you know that, your person isn't confident enough in themselves to do it?
Absolutely. So one thing I want to make sure I start by saying, but I got a good answer for that question. But one thing I want to make sure I start by saying is that although doulas are advocates, right, there's a little bit of a debate whether or not we can say stuff like that, but I am going to stand firm. Doulas are indeed advocates. We are not able, or I shouldn't say we are not able, because people do stuff they ain't supposed to all the time, but your doula should not be speaking for you, right? That is outside of our scope. We don't make decisions for a parent or a family. That's not what we're here to do, right? So due to that, right, when you're fully practicing in your scope as a doula, it's very important that you understand that your help with certain things is limited because of that, right? But I'm gonna hit you with my first ever birth as a doula, right? As a certified doula. I was supporting my first birth, right? And I saw firsthand a provider straight up lie to my client about how high her blood pressure was. She was one of my friends. I was so happy that she allowed me to follow her birth, because it was my first time. And you know, when you're doing something for the first time, some people are like, you need more. She was able to let me kind of do my thing, and I was really happy about that. But I remember at her baby shower, she was swole. I mean, her ankles were big. I remember kind of knowing the signs of preeclampsia. I was like, this is you how long has it been like this? And they're telling you it's okay. What did they say your blood pressure was? And she was saying she couldn't remember exact figures, but she did say that they told her it was normal and everything was okay, and that swelling was normal, and you know, that's to be expected, especially towards the end of your pregnancy. All things that I know to not be true. So I was like, I'm not,
because I have somebody close to me, you know, and they experienced that same thing.
Black women are dying from simple things like blood pressure. So have I seen it firsthand? I promise you I have. And again, my first ever birth, I was able to see this. But long story short, I ended up going to one of her last few prenatal exams with her, right? So she goes in, the nurse comes in, checks her blood pressure, you know, does all the vital stuff. She asked my client, she was like, are you taking your baby aspirin? Because again, even though they were telling her her blood pressure normal, they had her on a baby aspirin. She didn't tell me that, so I wasn't aware until that day. But she goes, no, I haven't been taking it. And she was like, how about your prenatals? No, they make me feel sick. I haven't been taking them. So I'm like, girl. What is you doing? But, you know, I'm a doula. This is my first time doing something like this. So I'm like, I don't want to wall out, especially right now, because I don't want to question my professionalism or make things any worse for her, right? So I'm sitting, I'm just listening and like freaking out on the inside, because I'm like, girl, she is out here just not doing the stuff. But lo and behold, right? So she takes her blood pressure, and I can't recall the exact number, but it was alarming. I mean, like, high. I was like, so I'm waiting for her to say, your blood pressure is really high. This is a medical emergency of some sort. Let me go get the doctor, or you need to go to the ER. She walks out if everything was okay. So I look at my client after we had the room to ourselves, and of course I'm like, girl, you ain't tell me you need a baby aspirin. She was like, well, I didn't know, you know, all those things. I was like, and you didn't tell me you wasn't taking prenatals, you know. And I went over a quick, like, fussed her out, basically. I fussed her out. And then I was like, we need to talk to your provider about that blood pressure, because you're swole, you're having all these signs, and that seems like preeclampsia to me. So when she comes in, I'm not going to say it, but I want you to kind of have her check your blood pressure. So recheck your blood pressure. So the doctor comes in, her OB, and she was like, okay, it looks like they said your blood pressure was X, Y, and Z, and everything was this. She like rattles it off and says, basically, you're okay. All right, you good. See you later. And my client didn't say anything. So I did, again, because I stepped outside of my role, but this is also my friend, so I felt like I had a little bit of wiggle room. So I said, excuse me, actually, before you go, you know, your nurse just took her blood pressure and said it was XY over Z over XY over Z, and that's alarming if I'm not mistaken. And she was like, wow, yeah, let me check that. So she checks it. And I shouldn't have said it how I said it to her. I just should have asked her to check to give the blood pressure reading one more time, because I put her on high alert, right? And when I look back, I'm like, dang, this is how I set her up to do what she ended up doing. So she checks the blood pressure, and she was like, oh, I don't know why she said it was X, Y, and Z, even though she had just read it again. And again, at that point, it was fresh, so I remembered exactly what it was. She was like, it's not that high. It's X, Y, and Z over this and that and the third. And I was like, Okay. All right. Again, that's when my doula senses kicked back, and I was like, I cannot argue this lady down for her. That's her responsibility. When I fussed her out for when we had the room to ourselves, I let her know what to do and what to say. She's sitting back. At that point, my hands are tied. I did do what I could to at least make sure that we had an accurate reading, so that if nothing else, for my personal knowledge, I can start saying she needs to do this when she gets home, and be able to help her on my end within my scope. But my hands were really tied. So again, I had a provider, my first time ever, even helping with a birth, straight up lie about a person's blood pressure when we know that preeclampsia is out here killing women.
Exactly. Exactly.
Lo and behold, that could have easily ended up in fatality for both my friend and her baby. I remember a few weeks later, I think it was closer to due date. So maybe a few months later, she was still experiencing these symptoms. And one of the worst things about working with your friends, sometimes they don't listen to you, right? Same thing, like I had to fuss her out. I was telling her, like, you need to start doing your own blood pressure readings at home. Her mom also was preeclamptic and almost died having her. So thankfully, I had someone who understood the severity of it, who was close to her to be kind of on top of her with that. So one day, her mom called me and she was like, Taylor, her blood pressure just came back as 156 over 187. And I was like, bring her to the ER. Bring her to the ER right now. She had just left an appointment probably the day before with the same type of blood pressure. And they were like, oh, it's okay. It's just normal for the end of your pregnancy. So luckily, she had a doula who could pick up on the signs and a family member who could help her intervene. And because of that, she and her baby actually just celebrated baby's first birthday last fall.
Oh, yes.
Not every Black woman is allowed that blessing because, of this mistreatment, of this neglect, of this blatant just lying to women. Like, there's not even really no rhyme or reason. Like, it would not have hurt that provider to say, girl, your blood pressure is high. We need to get you on, even if it was your baby needs to come early because this could be fatal for both.
Right.
You'd rather just straight up say, you're okay. That's crazy.
And take that because, they have the malpractice insurance and all that. They're willing to just take that. Right?
Willing to just do it compared to trying to properly intervene. This is time for real intervention. And now y'all want to say, you're good. Until
it's the last minute. And now you're trying to hustle and bustle. Take her to the ER,
Right.
It's crazy.
It's scary. So, to answer the question, absolutely I am seeing mistreatment. Absolutely Black women need doulas. And when it comes down to it, sometimes, again, I know I said that your doula isn't supposed to speak for you, and I stand by that. But if it comes life or death and you one of my clients, I'm going to say something. I'm going to intervene. Right. And if I really feel like I'm gonna put everything in jeopardy by doing that, I'm gonna have Dad say something. I'm gonna have somebody say, we're not just gonna sit back and pass it here, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It comes a point sometimes, God forbid anybody's ever in this position, but I do want to make sure I say there is a point where you kind of have to, is it worth what could possibly happen if I do the right thing? Or should I let this person succumb to death? Like, so there's a balance, but for the most part, yes, I'm seeing all of these things, and it's important for your doula to know how to help, know how to rope other people into help, and know how to have you speak up for yourself if you need some help.
Right. This was all such good information. That was all the questions. I'm pretty sure. Hopefully I didn't skip any, but that was a really good conversation. I'm glad that I was able to get connected to you through Lisa. I'm so glad she connected us, girl. This was really good. Yes. Yes, this was very important. A really good topic. And it shows, that we can come together, as the Black community and really help each other. There are a lot of African American or women of color who are doulas. Because of this topic of, seeing women being mistreated. And a lot of preventable deaths. You know, it's so sad. And, you know, to everyone who is viewing right now, you know, this goes to show that this is not just something that people, or that African American women or women of color are just saying. You know, we are experiencing this. So if you are someone who has seen this, you know, speak up, or, you know, try to help in some way. You know, show awareness that, you know, this is happening. And it's very unfortunate, but, you know, we have people like Taylor who are here and in our corner that will help us through it. You know, even if you're not confident enough to speak up yourself, at least she can give you what to say.
Yes.
You know, and if it's a life or death situation, if you ain't gonna say it, she'll say it.
I'm gonna say it, okay?
Right.
I don't want my births.
Right. All right. But that concludes our interview. Thank you so much, Taylor. Now, I don't know if you're comfortable, but I was going to add your information into the description box.
Yeah.
If somebody wanted to get in contact with you, you know, who maybe was local, or if they wanted to do a virtual Doula experience. Yeah. So I'll go ahead and leave your information. Now, your email is okay, right?
Yep, that's absolutely fine.
Okay. All right. So yeah, the email, and then I'll also put the Facebook page there, so they can go, and like, she does have a Facebook page, so go like it, and, you know, go ahead and contact her and inquire about any other questions that we weren't able to cover during this interview. You know, she seems to me to be a very open person, so I'm sure she will not hold back any information from you. But this was great. Thank you so much for all your time, Taylor.
Yes,
this was excellent. I'm so excited. Yeah.
And thank you for having me and being able to help me kind of spread the information to our community. It's so important that we have knowledge and access to this knowledge, because if you don't know, you don't know, and that's not nobody's fault, right? But we need to start making sure that we are making our information available to our people, because when you know better, you do better, and when you know the ins and outs of what you're choosing, you choose better too. So, well,
this was so great. Thank you so much, Taylor, for your time, and I know our viewers are gonna love this, so just thank you so much. This was so helpful.
Yes, it's been great to be here. Good luck, guys. Congratulations, all of the stuff, wherever you're at in your journey. You got this, and you are empowered.
Yes. All right, so that's a wrap, guys. If you would like more information, or would like for me and Taylor to collab again on a different topic, like one specific topic instead of multiple questions, please feel free to comment down below. And, you know, just comment any questions that you have. If you like this video, let us know. Comment, like, subscribe. And yeah, so this was great. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Until next time.
Have a good one.